Someone in our community is facing a challenge they shouldn't have to face alone. Your business can change that. When you join the Community Pay It Forward family, your kindness becomes action, and your sales becomes hope. For as little as $20 a month, you help guide families, nonprofits, and neighbors from crisis to stability. One small step, one powerful mission, one community coming together. Join the family today. Visit the website or scan the code and become a business where people can shop with purpose and support with heart.
Warning, the brown cloud is approaching. Some will try to outrun it. Others may not be so lucky. But don't worry, it's all part of the fun at the Chili Cook-Off for books and board games. Where the chili is hot, the flavors are bold, and Bear E has your back with the official Brown Cloud Preparedness Kit. Follow the plan, know your exits, and what... Follow the plan, know your exits, and whatever you do, hold your breath, because this temporary pain is all for a great cause. Join us, laugh with us, survive the brown cloud. Together at Key Largo Lounge in Greeley.
Join us November 8th at 11 a.m. for the 10th annual Chili Cook-Off for books and board games at our home field, Key Largo Lounge, where our small market team is making a huge statement. Scan the code for tickets and sponsorship information.
All right. Well, I'm still got an issue finding my start, but that's okay. Well, we hi everybody out there. I hope everybody's having a fantastic time and get ready to sit down and enjoy. I grab a nice cold cup of a glass of lemonade and oh, don't forget the cookies because you know you don't want to wave the cookies flavor is, and I am not finding it. It's one of those nights, Mr. Zach. When you come early and you're all prepared and things happen, and all of a sudden things run away from you. Well, folks, we're going to jump right into the story. Our first story of the evening. Now, ho, ho, ho. Come gather close, my merry friends. Pull your blankets up, settle into your favorite chair, and keep your cocoa nearby. Perhaps maybe not too nearby if you are a champion arm waver during exciting stories. Tonight, we're traveling beyond Santa's workshop, past the snowy reindeer fields, and high above the candy cane forest to a place you have ever visited before. A place where the snow sparkled with every color of the rainbow, a place where ancient secrets rested beneath the mountain, a place called Evergreen Mountain. Have you heard of Evergreen Mountain, Mr. Zach? Ah, there we go. All right, Evergreen Mountain stood at the far northern edge of the North Pole. It was taller than the workshop chimney, taller than the candy cane tower, and according to one elf named Pickles, possibly taller than Santa's pile of letters. Santa had greatly explained that nothing was taller than that pile. The mountain was covered with thick evergreen trees whose branches stayed green through every season. At night, tiny silver lights shimmered between the needles, even though No one had ever hung them there. For many years, the mountain had watched over the North Pole in peaceful silence, but hidden deep inside it was 7 extraordinary crystals. They were known as the Christmas crystals. Long ago, the crystals had been placed inside a quiet cavern by the first North Pole toy makers. Each crystal represented something important: kindness, courage, patience, honesty, responsibility, hope, and joy. Together, their gentle light helped the North Pole remember the true spirit of Christmas. The crystals did not power the sleigh, they did not make reindeer fly, they did not produce cookies, although Santa had once asked whether that was possible. Their magic was much quieter. Whenever somebody showed kindness, one crystal glowed. Whenever someone told the truth, another one sparkled. Whenever a frightened heart chose courage, the cavern became a little brighter. For generations, the Christmas crystals shone beautifully until one wintry morning they stopped. No, Santa was sitting at breakfast when the lights in the dining room flickered. Once, twice, then 3 times. Mrs. Claus looked up from her toast. Is Jingle Pop testing another invention? Santa listened. From outside came a loud pop, followed by a voice shouting, "Everything is completely under control." Santa sighed. That usually means it's not Jingle Pop this time. I'll change there. A moment later, head elf Holly hurried into the room carrying a small golden lantern. The lantern was normally filled with warm rainbow light. Today it was nearly dark. Santa, Holly said, the heart lantern is fading. Santa's smile disappeared. The heart lantern was connected to the Christmas crystals on Evergreen Mountain. If the lantern was dim, something had happened to the crystals. Santa stood immediately. We need to visit the mountain. I'll prepare the sleigh, Holly said. I'll prepare sandwiches, Mrs. Claus added. Santa nodded wisely. Both are necessary. Within an hour, Santa, Holly, and 3 young North Pole helpers were ready to leave. The first helper was Pip, a cheerful penguin who considered sliding a form of transportation, exercise, and personal expression. The second was Bramble, a thoughtful young polar bear who carried a backpack filled with supplies. A third was Zippy, a quick little elf whose ideas often arrived several minutes before the rest of him. Why did you bring a frying pan? Holly asked as Zippy packed. Emergency pancakes. We are climbing a mountain. Exactly. Difficult places need pancakes. Santa smiled. I cannot argue with that kind of preparation. The team traveled by sleigh until the trees became too thick. Then they continued on foot along a narrow, snowy trail. The forest was usually quiet. The birds sang. No squirrels chattered. Even Pip noticed. This place needs music. He began humming. Unfortunately, Pip only knew the first 4 notes of one song. He repeated them nearly 10 minutes. Bramble finally asked, Do you know the rest? No, Pip said proudly, but I know these 4 very well. Everyone laughed, and for a moment, the forest seemed warmer. As they climbed, they found the first sign that something was wrong. A small evergreen tree had fallen across the path. Zippy immediately tried to leap over it. His coat caught on a branch, leaving him dangling 2 feet above the snow. I have successfully stopped moving, he announced. Bramble gently helped him down. Together, the group lifted the fallen tree and moved it aside. The moment they finished, Holly's lantern gave a tiny green glow. The kindness crystal, Santa said. It noticed us helping one another. Pip looked towards the mountain. So the crystals are still there. They are, Santa said, but something is preventing their light from reaching us. The trail grew steeper. Soon they reached a wooden bridge stretching across a narrow, icy stream. The bridge was sturdy, but several boards had come loose. Zippy took one step forward. The board beneath him wobbled. He quickly stepped back. I have decided the bridge looks better from here. Holly examined the boards. We could cross carefully, but someone else might come this way later. Bramble opened up his backpack. I brought rope, nails, and a small hammer. Pip blinked. I brought 3 crackers. Those may become important, Santa said. The group worked together to repair the loose boards. Zippy held the nails. Holly tied the rope. Bramble carefully hammered. Pip supervised. Excellent hammering, he said, very hammer shaped. When the bridge was safe, the lantern glowed. The responsibility crystal, said Santa. We could have crossed and ignored the problem, but we left the bridge safer for everyone. Zippy smiled. So responsibility means fixing trouble even though it isn't our trouble. Exactly, Santa said. They crossed the bridge and continued upward. Near midday, they reached a wide snowy field beneath the mountain's highest cliffs. In the distance, a stone doorway appeared between 2 trees. That must be the Crystal Tavern, Holly said. The team hurried forward. Well, everyone except Pip, who hurried by sliding and arriving first. I win. There was no race, Bramble said. Pip pushed snow from his scarf. That makes my victory even more surprising. The ancient stone doorway had no handle. 7 small shapes were carved around its edge. A heart, a shield, an hourglass, a clear bell, a helping hand, a star, a smiling sun. Zippy pushed the door. Nothing happened. Bramble pulled it. Nothing happened. Pip knocked. Hello, we are here regarding some dim crystals. Still nothing. Santa studied the carvings. Those symbols matched the 7 crystals. Holly held the lantern near the door. A line of golden letters appeared across the stone. The path opens not for those who seek magic, but for those who live it. Zippy scratched his head, so we cannot simply ask it to open. Pip cleared his throat. Open, please. The door remained closed. Worth a try, he said. Santa looked at the symbols. We must show the 7 qualities before the cavern will allow us inside. We already showed kindness and responsibility, Bramble said. As he spoke, the heart and the helping hand symbols began to glow. 5 remained. The group searched the snowy field for clues. Behind a large rock, they found a family of rabbits trying to gather scattered food into a basket. A strong gust had blown their winter supplies across the snow. We should help, Pip said. Everyone started collecting carrots, seeds, and berries. Zippy found a turnip nearly as big as his head. This vegetable has ambition. He tried to carry it, slipped, and landed gently in the snow with a turnip on his stomach. The rabbits giggled. Zippy did too. When the final berry was returned, the smiling sun symbol glowed. Joy, Santa said, helping with cheerful heart makes kindness even better. Next, they heard a faint cry near the trees. A young fox stood on one side of a narrow patch of ice, afraid to cross back to his family. I'm scared I'll slip, he admitted. Bramble walked onto the ice slowly. You can hold my paw. The fox hesitated. What if we fail? What if we fall? Then we will stand up together. The fox took one careful step, then another. Halfway across, his feet slid slightly. Bramble steadied him. You're doing wonderfully. They reached the other side safely. The shield symbol glowed red. Courage, said Santa, doesn't mean we feel no fear. It means we take the next careful step even while fear is talking. Only 3 symbols remained. The group waited and waited. Nothing happened. Zippy tapped his foot. Perhaps the mountain has forgotten us. Holly smiled, or perhaps this is a lesson. The hourglass symbol slowly glowed purple. Patience, Bramble said. Pip nodded. I am extremely patient. At that exact moment, he pulled out one of his crackers, especially when eating. 2 symbols remained, the bell for honesty and the star of hope. Santa turned towards the others. Is there anything we have not been honest about? Everyone became quiet. Finally, Zippy raised his hands. I told Holly I packed only necessary supplies. He opened his bag. Inside there was a frying pan, a rubber duck, 2 juggling scarves, a tiny flag, and a jar labeled emergency pickles. Holly raised his eyebrow. A rubber duck? Moral support. Pip lifted one flipper. I also ate one of Bramble's honey biscuits. Bramble looked surprised. I thought I had miscounted. I'm sorry, Pip said. It smelled heroic. Bramble smiled. Thank you for telling me. Then Holly took a breath. I should be honest too. I was worried about leading this journey. I thought I might make a mistake. Santa looked at her kindly. Leaders do not lead to know everything. They listen, they need to listen, care, and keep learning. The clear bell symbol glowed with a white light. Honesty, said Santa, does not make us smaller, it makes us trust stronger. Only the star remained, but it stayed dark. The wind began to blow, carrying clouds across the mountaintop. What if the crystals never shine again? Holly asked quietly. What if we came too late? Zippy added. Santa looked at the closed doorway, then at his friends. We have climbed far, we have helped others, we have learned from one another. He placed his hand over the star. Hope is not pretending everything is easy. Hope is believing our next good choice still matters. Bramble placed his paw beside Santa's hand. Holly added hers, Zippy added his, Pip placed one flipper on top. Even if the door stays closed, Pip said, we can keep trying. The star burst into a golden light. All 7 symbols began glowing together. With a deep, gentle rumble, the stone doorway opened. Inside the cavern was breathtaking. Crystal walls reflected blues, greens, reds, purples, and golds. In the center stood 7 tall crystal pillars, but each crystal was covered with a thin gray frost. The crystals were not broken, their light was simply hidden. Holly approached carefully. What causes this? Santa noticed small words carved onto the floor. Magic fades when its lessons are admired but not practiced. Bramble understood first. The crystals grew dim because people remembered the words but forgot to live them. Santa nodded. Kindness cannot mean shine if it is only spoken about. Courage needs action, said Holly. Responsibility needs follow through, added Zippy. Joy apparently needs crackers, said Pip. Everyone laughed. The sound echoed through the cavern. A tiny crack appeared in the frost covering the joy crystal. Santa smiled. The crystals responded when their lessons are truly lived. The team stood around the pillars. They remembered the fallen tree. They repaired the bridge, the rabbits, the young fox, the patient waiting, their honest words, and their choice to help keep hoping. One by one, the frost began to melt. The kindness crystal glowed green. The courage crystal shone red. The patient began purple. Honestly sparkled white. Responsibility glowed blue. Hope burned gold. And joy filled the cavern with warm rainbow light. The colors swirled upward, flowed out through the mountain, and spread across the North Pole sky like a brilliant aurora. Far beneath, far below, workshop lights brightened. The heart lantern in Mrs. Claus's hand blazed with color. Back in the cavern, the crystals gave one final gentle pulse. A small clear crystal appeared on the floor. It was no bigger than a snowflake. Santa picked it up. "What is that one?" Pip asked. Santa smiled. "Togetherness." The team looked at one another. "It wasn't one of the original seven," Holly said. "Nope," Santa replied. "It was created by the way you shared them." When the group returned to the North Pole, everyone gathered at the village square. Santa told the story of Evergreen Mountain. He did not focus on the glowing cavern or the rainbow light. He spoke about the bridge, the rabbits, the frightened fox, honesty, patience, hope. And then he held up the tiny new crystal. The magic of Christmas grows strongest when we practice its lessons together. From that day forward, the small crystal was kept inside the heart lantern. Every year before Christmas preparations became too busy, Santa gathered the elves, reindeer families, and friends. They each chose one quality to practice. Some chose kindness, some chose patience, some chose courage. Zippy chose responsibility, though Holly suggested he begin by removing the emergency frying pan from his backpack. Pip chose honesty. "I honestly want another cracker," he announced. Bramble gave him one, and high above the North Pole, the Christmas crystals of Evergreen Mountain continued to shine, not because they were magical stones, but because kind and courageous hearts kept their meaning alive. Ho, ho, ho! Here's the moral of the story. The Christmas crystals remind us that kindness, courage, patience, honesty, responsibility, hope, and joy are not simply beautiful words to admire. They are choices we must practice. Their magic grows whenever we help someone tell the truth, repair what needs fixing, wait patiently, face a fear, or keep believing that our next good choice matters. When we live these values together, even small actions can create a light strong enough to brighten an entire community because the true spirit of Christmas shines most clearly through the way we treat one another. Wow. That was pretty awesome, boys and girls, moms and dads. I hope you enjoyed that because we got two more stories yet to read tonight. And they're going to be just as much fun. All right, story number 2, The Ornament That Felt Left Out. Ho, 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 come gather close, my merry friends. Pull your blankets up, find your coziest spot, and keep your cocoa nearby or your lemonade. Throw perhaps not too close, as if you lap your whole body. Santa has seen more than one marshmallow take an unexpected flight during a good story. Tonight's tale begins inside the North Pole decorating room where thousands of ornaments waited to become part of the Christmas memories around the world. Some sparkled, some jingled, some glowed, and one small ornament wondered whether anyone would choose him. High on the old wooden shelf sat a little ornament called Oliver. Oliver had been carved in a shape of an evergreen tree. His green paint had faded slightly. One wooden branch leaned a little to the left. A tiny corner near his base had been carefully repaired. His hanging string was gold, but it had one small knot in it. Oliver was not ashamed of these things. At least he tried not to be. But it was difficult when he looked at the ornaments around him. Crystal was a glass snowflake that scattered rainbow light across the room. Ruby was a shining red ball decorated with perfect gold stars. Bell jingled whenever anybody passed, even when no one touched them. Twinkle was a silver star covered with icy lights. One afternoon, Twinkle accidentally blinked to the rhythm of jingle bells. The elf stopped. "Whoa, Kobe's here. Come on in, young man. I just started story number 2. Unfortunately, Stars do not bend very well, so it looked more like a small wobble. Oliver smiled along. That's okay, Colby. I appreciate you showing up. But inside he wondered, what can I do? He did not glow, he did not jingle, he did not sparkle. He was simply Oliver. Every autumn, the decorating room became wonderfully busy. Elves polished ornaments, tiny ribbons, check hooks, and packed boxes that would travel to families everywhere. This snowflake is going to Canada. This train is heading to Japan. This angel will be hung on a tree in Kenya. This gingerbread ornament is going to Australia. The selected ornaments cheered. Their friends waved goodbye. Oliver always waved too. Then he watched another empty space appear on the shelf. Days passed, then weeks. One by one, the ornaments left. Crystal was chosen for a family's first Christmas in a new home. Ruby was packed for grandparents celebrating with their grandchildren. Belle went to a school where children decorated a huge community tree. Before leaving, Belle jingled softly beside Oliver, "Your turn will come." Oliver tried to smile, but if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? Belle gave one thoughtful jingle. Then perhaps you'll be waiting for something different. Oliver did not understand. By the middle of December, most shelves were empty. The decorating room, once bright and busy, had grown quiet. Oliver sat alone near a small wooden box of unused ribbon. A tiny white mouse named Marshmallow climbed onto the shelf. Marshmallow helped organize thread and ribbon, though she was not known to use the ribbon rolls as tunnels. "You look sad," she said. "I'm the only ornament left." Marshmallow looked around. "You are." That was not the encouraging answer I hoped for. Marshmallow twitched her whiskers. "I believe in honesty." Oliver sighed. Every other ornament was chosen because it had something special. "What if I don't?" Marshmallow sat beside him. "Maybe your special thing is not easy to see." Oliver looked down at his faded paint. "This seems convenient." Marshmallow smiled. "Maybe true things are." That evening, Santa entered the room. "Ho, ho, ho! Let us see whether any ornaments still need a little North Pole attention." Oliver straightened as much of his wooden branch as allowed. Santa slowly walked among the empty shelves. Then he stopped. "Well, now," he said, "who do we have here?" "I'm Oliver." Santa gently lifted him. His large hands were warm. Santa examined the repaired corner and crooked branch. "You were made with care." Oliver's wooden heart gave a hopeful little jump. "Does that mean I'm being chosen?" Santa looked thoughtfully. "Not tonight." Oliver's hope fell so quickly that it nearly bumped the shelf. Santa noticed. "You think being left here means you are unimportant?" Oliver did not answer. He did not need to. Santa sat at a nearby chair and held Oliver carefully. "When I was younger, I once believed everything important gift had to be large, shiny, and exciting." Oliver blinked. "You did?" "Oh, yes. Then Mrs. Claus gave me a shiny handmade scarf." Mrs. Claus called from the hallway. "It was not tiny. Your neck was larger than expected." Santa chuckled. "It was made from scraps of wool. The stripes were uneven, and one end was larger than the other." "Did you like it?" "I loved it. Not because it was perfect, because she made it for me." Santa placed Oliver back on the shelf. Being chosen last doesn't mean being loved least. Sometimes a special place takes longer to find. Oliver watched Santa leave. He wanted to believe him, but the shelf still felt lonely. The next morning, a class of North Pole children entered the decorating room. Their teacher, Mrs. Hollyberry, led them between the shelves. "Every ornament tells a story," she explained. "Some stories are easy to see, others must be discovered." The children admired the last few display ornaments. One child pointed at a crystal angel. Another laughed at a wooden reindeer with very large feet. Those are not large, the reindeer protested. They are stable. Near the back of the group was a girl named Emma. Emma did not rush from one ornament to the other. She moved slowly and looked carefully. When she reached Oliver's shelf, she stopped. Oh, she whispered. Oliver looked up. Emma smiled. I like this one. Miss Hollyberry came closer. Why? Emma gently lifted Oliver. He looks like he's been waiting for someone. Oliver's heart grew warm. Emma did not complain about his faded paint. She did not notice his knot or repaired corner. Instead, she ran one finger along his curved branches. He feels special. Oliver nearly forgot how to speak. Thank you. Emma turned him over. Something tiny sparkled beneath his hanging string. What is that? Tied beneath one wooden branch was a small silver key. It was no larger than a peppermint candy, and its handle was shaped like a snowflake. Emma held it up. The room grew quiet. Santa, who had been speaking with Mrs. Hollyberry, hurried over. My goodness, do you know what it opens? Emma asked. Santa studied the key. I think I do. He led Emma, Oliver, Miss Hollyberry, and the marshmallow down an old hallway beneath the decorating room. The walls were covered with carvings of trees, bells, stars, and families holding hands. At the end stood a wooden door carved with one enormous evergreen tree. In its center was a tiny silver keyhole. Santa looked at Oliver. The key was hidden on you. I believe you should open it. Oliver felt nervous. What if it does not work? Emma held him close. Then we try again. Together they placed the key into the lock. Click! Nothing happened. Marshmallow cleared her throat. Perhaps the door requires manners. Emma smiled. Open, please. Still nothing. Oliver looked at the evergreen carving. Then he whispered, I'm ready to learn why I was made. The key turned. The golden light shone around the door. With a long, gentle creak, it opened. Beyond it was a circular room filled with warm light. Shelves covered the walls from floor to ceiling. They held old ornaments made from wood, paper, cloth, pine cones, buttons, and ribbon. Many were worn, some were crooked. The cloth angel held one wing shorter than the other. The paper star had been taped back together. The wooden horse had only 3 painted legs because the artist had apparently become distracted. Santa smiled at it. Perhaps the 4th leg was on vacation. Emma giggled. At the center of the room stood a tall Christmas tree. It was not covered with diamonds or glitter. It was decorated with an old handmade ornaments. And somehow it was the most beautiful tree Oliver had ever seen. What is this place? Emma asked. The memory room, Santa said. It holds ornaments that become part of someone's most treasured Christmas memories. Beneath the tree rested a large golden book. Emma opened it. The first page showed small wooden star. The words beneath it read, made by a boy for his grandfather during their last Christmas together. She treasured it every year. The next page showed a cloth bell, sewn by 2 sisters while they waited for their father to return home. Another showed a paper snowflake cut by a child who wanted every person at the family table to feel included. Page after page revealed simple ornaments connected to love, courage, hope, and family memories. Oliver stared. These ornaments are not perfect, Santa smiled. No, they are loved. The book pages began turning by themselves. Then they stopped. A drawing of Oliver appeared. He gasped, That's me! Letters slowly filled the page, carved by Necklace Evergreen, the first keeper of the memory room. created from a branch of the original North Pole Christmas tree, meant to remind every family that the greatest beauty is not found in sparkle, but in love that lasts. Oliver became very still. Why was I left on the shelf for so long? Santa read the next line. This ornament must wait until someone chooses with the heart instead of the eyes. Everyone looked at Emma. She hugged Oliver. I didn't choose him because he was the brightest. I didn't choose him. Why did you choose him? Asked Santa. Emma smiled because he looked like he needed a friend. The memory room filled with a golden light. The old ornaments shimmered. Pictures appeared in the air like glowing snowflakes. Families decorating trees, Christmas children laughing, grandparents telling stories, neighbors sharing meals, and friends making room for one another. Oliver finally understood. His purpose was never been to outshine the other ornaments. His purpose was to help people remember that love notices what others overlook. Santa knelt beside Emma. Would you like Oliver to become part of your family's Christmas? Emma's eyes widened. Really? Oliver looked at Santa. May I? Santa's eyes widened and twinkled. That is why you have been waiting for. Emma carried Oliver home in a small red box lined with soft cloth. Her family's Christmas tree was not the largest tree Oliver had ever seen. It did not have matching decorations. Some lights blinked quite quickly, others seemed to be thinking about it. The popcorn garland leaned heavily to one side because the family dog had sampled several pieces. But the tree was full of handmade ornaments, old photographs, and memories. Emma placed Oliver near the center, not at the top, not hidden in the back, right where everyone could see. His mother read the message Santa had placed in the box. Oliver reminds us to look with our hearts, welcome those who feel left out, and remember that love makes ordinary things extraordinary. Emma's little brother pointed to Oliver. He's my favorite. Emma smiled. Mine too. That evening, Oliver looked around the warm room. He saw a family laughing together. He saw a dog sleeping underneath the tree. He saw Emma carefully straightening his golden string, and for the first time, Oliver did not wish he sparkled like crystal or jingled like bell. He was exactly where he belonged. Back at the North Pole, Santa placed the silver key in the memory room door for the next person who needed its lesson. Marshmallow looked up at him. Do you think Oliver is happy? Santa smiled. I think he discovered something many of us need to remember. What's that? That being noticed by others is not nearly as important as being truly loved by someone. And every Christmas after that, Emma hung Oliver on the tree first. His paint continued to fade, his string gained another knot. One year he repaired corner, needed repairing again, but each little mark became part of his story. As Emma grew older, she told Oliver's story to her own children, and they told it to theirs. The ornament who once believed he had been forgotten became the one their families treasured most. Not because he was perfect, not because he was bright, not because he reminded them that no one should ever feel left out. And that sometimes is the person or thing waiting quietly in the corner carries the most beautiful story at all. Ho, ho, ho! Here's the moral of the story. The ornament that felt left out reminds us that our value does not come from being the brightest, newest, loudest, or most admired. Oliver found his true place when someone looked beyond his faded paint and saw his heart. We should never assume that being chosen last means we are loved least, because belonging often begins with one person who notices, listens, and makes room for us. When we choose kindness and include those who feel overlooked, We create memories and friendship that shine for longer than glitter ever could. Wow. That was pretty awesome. Woo! You caught me just as I was starting out one, Colby. What'd you think? That was a pretty good story, wasn't it? Cool. There you go. All right, we're going to start our third story of the night. The Brave. Ab- That was a great story. And Zach, say hi to Colby. He's a young man from Australia that usually comes and visits me and listens to me read stories. Yeah, he's been coming regularly to my stories and he loves listening to me read stories. I'm trying to tell him to tell his friends, and he says he is, and they don't want to show up. So that's okay. He enjoys the stories. Yep, it is. All right. So you actually listen to that story, buddy. I say, you actually listen to that story. Absolutely. They sure do. Wow. Yep. That's a that's a pretty honest lesson right there. Well, this is story number 3 for the night. This one's called A Brave Bunny Who Tried Again. In a bright green valley called Cloverberry Meadow, where wildflowers swayed in the breeze and butterflies seemed to dance just for fun, there lived a young rabbit named Remy. Remy had soft gray fur, long ears, quick feet, and a little white tail that bounced like a tiny cloud whenever he ran. He was curious about everything. He wanted to know why birds could sing before breakfast. He wondered whether flowers whispered when nobody was listening, and he once spent nearly an hour staring at a mushroom because he was certain it had moved. It did move, Remy insisted. His best friend, Poppy the rabbit, tilted her head. Remy, the wind moved it. Remy nodded seriously. That is exactly what the mushroom wants you to believe. Poppy laughed so hard she rolled into a patch of clover. Remy loved exploring, asking questions, and helping others, but there was one thing he did not love: trying something he might not do perfectly. Hmm, where have we heard that one before? Whenever the young animals played a new game, Remy watched from the side. When the squirrels practiced balancing acorns, Remy collected information. When the fox cubs played hop over the log, Remy studied the log carefully. When the birds invited everyone to sing, Remy suddenly became very interested in a nearby pebble. I'm not scared, he would say. Then he would pause. I'm simply preparing. Poppy would ask, how long does preparing take? Remy usually answered, until I feel completely ready. The trouble was, Remy almost never felt completely ready. One sunny morning, all the young animals gathered beside Sparkle Stream. The water curled beneath smooth stones and giggled over tiny pebbles. The colorful banner stretched between two maple trees. It read, the first Cloverberry Friendship Challenge. Coach, Bramble, a cheerful young badger wearing a red whistle, stood in front of the group. The friendship challenge is not a race, he explained. You will work in teams, solve problems, help one another, and learn something new. A young squirrel raised his paw. Will there be prizes? Coach Bramble smiled. Every participant receives a berry muffin. Oh, you got Zach on that one, Coach. The animals cheered. The small hedgehog called Wally whispered, I was already interested, but now I'm emotionally committed. Sounds like Zach. The challenge had 4 activities. The first was crossing a row of stepping stones over the shallow stream. The second was carrying a basket of apples through a winding path. The third was building a small shelter from branches and leaves. And the final activity was the Great Meadow Leap. For the Great Meadow Leap, each animal would run towards a painted line and jump across a narrow patch of soft sand. It was a perfectly safe. The sand was fluffed, the distance was small, but to Remy it looked enormous. Poppy noticed his ears droop. You can do it! Remy stared at the sand. I might land badly. You might land wonderfully. I might trip. You might not. I might look silly. Poppy smiled. Everyone looks silly sometimes. Wally once wore a leaf as a shoe. Wally looked up. It was fashionably for nearly 6 minutes. Remy laughed, but his stomach still felt wiggly. Coach Bramble divided the animals into teams. Remy's team included Poppy, Wally, and a cheerful duck named Daisy. Daisy enjoyed giving advice even when nobody had asked. My advice, she announced, is to move forward while looking confident. Wally stared at her. Does that work? No idea, Daisy said. I usually waddle. The first activity began. Poppy crossed the stepping stones easily. Daisy waddled across, flapping both wings for balance. Wally moved slowly, one tiny foot at a time. Then it was Remy's turn. He stepped onto the first stone, then the second. The third stone was a little further away. Remy hesitated. I cannot touch it. Poppy stood on the other side. Yes, you can. What if I slip? The water is only ankle deep. Remy looked at his feet. My ankles are very emotionally attached to being dry. Daisy quacked with laughter. Remy took a breath and jumped. Splash! He landed with 1 foot on the stone and 1 foot in the stream. Everyone grew quiet. Remy looked down at his wet foot. Then Daisy said, Congratulations, one ankle has experienced adventure. Everyone laughed, even Remy. He climbed onto the stone and continued. When he reached the other side, Poppy smiled. You slipped a little, but you still finished. Remy looked back at the stones. I did. The next adventure was an apple path. The teams had to carry 12 apples in one basket without dropping them. Poppy held one side, Remy held the other. Daisy walked ahead, calling directions. Left, then turned left. Right, they turned right. Duck, everyone looked at Daisy. Yes, she said. Poppy laughed. Did you mean lower your heads? Oh, yes, that too. They moved under a low branch. Halfway through the path, Remy stepped onto a pine cone. The basket tilted. 3 apples rolled onto the grass. Oh no, Remy said. I ruined it. Coach Bramble walked over. Did the apples disappear? Nope. Did the basket break? Nope. Can you pick them up? Bramble nodded. Then you can. You did not ruin anything. You discovered where the pine cone was. Wally pointed at it. I shall remember its location forever. The team picked up the apples and continued. They reached the finish with all 12. Remy smiled. 2 mistakes, 2 finishes. Perhaps trying did not require perfection after all. During the shelter building activity, the team gathered branches, leaves, and soft grass. Poppy arranged the frame. Wally collected small sticks. Daisy carried leaves in her beak, though several stuck to her face. How do I look? She asked. Very forced, Remy said. Remy tied long pieces of grass around the branches. At first, his knots came loose. He tried again. The second knot also slipped. His ears drooped. I'm not good at this. Coach Bramble, who had been watching nearby, sat beside him. You are not good at it yet. Remy looked up. The little words matters very much. I cannot do it, closes the door. I cannot do it yet, leaves the door unlocked. Remy picked up the grass. He watched Poppy tie one knot. Then he tried slowly. The loop held. I did it. He tied another, then another. Soon the small shelter stood proudly beneath the tree. It leaned slightly to one side. Daisy stepped inside. The house has personality. Wally nodded. I may have also have opinions. The animals laughed. Then came the final activity, the great meadow leap. Remy's smile disappeared. One by one, the animals ran towards the painted line and jumped across the soft sand. Poppy cleared it easily. Daisy flapped so hard that she seemed surprised when she landed. Wally ran with tiny, determined steps and landed halfway across. He climbed out proudly. I have conquered part of the meadow. Then Coach Bramble called Remy. Remy walked towards the starting point. The other animals gathered nearby. His legs felt stiff. His ears felt hot. The sand looked wider than before. Poppy stood beside him. You don't have to be perfect. Remy swallowed. What if I fail? Coach Bramble smiled. Then you learn something and try again. Remy backed up. Then he ran. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. He reached the line and jumped. For one moment, one wonderful moment, he floated through the air. Then his back foot caught the edge. He tumbled gently into the soft sand. Poof! A little cloud rose around him. Only his ears showed. The animals waited. Remy slowly sat up. Sand covered his nose. Daisy tilted her head. You look like a powdered donut. Oh. A few animals giggled. Remy tried to smile, but his eyes filled with tears. I knew I could not do it. He brushed himself off and walked away from the group. Poppy followed him to a quiet place beneath the willow tree. Remy sat with his back against the trunk. I do not want to try again. Poppy beside him. That is your choice. Remy looked surprised. You are not going to tell me I have to? No, but I want you to remember what happened. I fell. Yes, everybody laughed. They laughed because Daisy compared you to a donut. Remy tried not to smile, and you jumped further than you ever have before. Remy looked towards the meadow. I did. Poppy nodded. You nearly made it. Nearly is not the same as making it. No, Poppy said, but nearly is closer than never. They sat quietly. A gentle breeze moved through the willow branches. Then Coach Bramble joined them. When I was young, he said I wanted to climb the tallest hill in the valley. Remy looked at him. Did you? Eventually? What happened the first time? I rolled backwards into a blueberry bush. Poppy covered her mouth. Coach Bramble smiled. I was blue from nose to tail. Remy laughed. What did you do? I went home. So you quit. For the day. The next morning I returned, and then I made it halfway. What about the third time? Almost to the top. The fourth, I reached it. Remy thought about that for a moment. Were you still scared? Yes. Then how were you brave? Coach Bramble pointed gently towards Remy's heart. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is deciding to fear does not get to make every choice. The words stayed with Remy. He looked back at the giant meadow leap. The other animals had finished, but the painted line remained. The sand waited quietly. Remy stood. I want to try again. Poppy smiled. Coach Bramble nodded. That sounds brave. When Remy returned, the animals gathered around. Wally called, we believe in you. Daisy flapped her wings, and if you land in the sand again, I have several dessert comparisons prepared. Remy laughed. He stood at the starting point. This time he did not stare at the whole distance. He looked at the first step, then the next, then the painted line. Then he remembered the steam, the fallen apples, the loose knots. Every time something had gone wrong, every time he had continued, Remy ran. His feet moved faster. His heart pounded. He reached the line and jumped. Up he went across the sand, and then thump! He landed on the other side. His front paws touched the grass. His back paws landed just behind them. And for a second, Remy did not move. Then he turned around. I did it! I did it! The meadow erupted with cheers. You did it! He made it! Remy jumped. Daisy waddled towards him. I have complete confidence. Poppy raised an eyebrow. You prepared 4 donut jokes. Confidence can have backup material, Daisy replied. Remy laughed. Coach Bramble placed a small green ribbon around his neck. It read, I tried again. Remy looked at the ribbon. Is this because I jumped the furthest? Nope, Coach Bramble said. It's because you came back after you wanted to give up. At the muffin table, the animals celebrated. Wally ate his berry muffin slowly and seriously. This muffin is a reward for emotional growth. Daisy took a large bite of hers. My emotional growth has frosting. Everyone laughed. Remy sat beside Poppy. I thought courage would feel like not being afraid. What did it feel like? My knees were shaky, Poppy smiled. Brave knees can shake. I thought succeeding meant doing it right the first time. What do you think now? Remy looked across the meadow. I think success sometimes means returning. Over the next few weeks, Remy began trying more new things. He joined Hop over the log. His first jump was so low that the log looked surprised. He tried singing with the birds. He sang one note completely wrong, and a nearby frog applauded anyway. He tried balancing acorns with the squirrels. 3 rolled off his head. One landed in Daisy's lunch. Surprise garnish, she said. Remy did not become perfect at everything. Nobody does. But he stopped waiting until he felt completely ready. Whenever a new challenge made his stomach flutter, he remembered the sand, the jump, the friends who cheered when he returned. One afternoon, Remy noticed a young mouse watching the other animals climb a small hill. I cannot do that, the mouse whispered. Remy sat beside her. Perhaps not yet. What if I fall? Then you will help. I will help you stand. What if I need to stop? Then we stop. What if everybody passes me? Remy smiled. The hill is not going anywhere. The mouse took one step, then another. Remy walked beside her the entire way. When they reached the top, the mouse cheered. Remy cheered louder. From a distance, Coach Bramble watched and smiled. Poppy joined them. Remy has changed. Coach Bramble nodded. He learned that courage grows when we use it. That evening, Remy stood near Sparkle Stream as the sunset turned the water gold. The same stepping stones waited in the shallow water. He looked at the stone when he had slipped, where he had slipped. Then he smiled. He no longer saw the place where he got wet. He saw the place where he kept going. The mistakes had not become embarrassing memories. They became stepping stones. And from that day forward, whenever somebody in Cloverberry Meadow felt discouraged, they often visited Remy. He never told them success would be easy. He never promised that they would succeed immediately. He simply reminded them, you do not have to do everything today. You do not have to do everything perfectly. The only thing to do is take the first step. And if it does not work, he would smile. We can always try again. Ho, ho, ho! True bravery does not mean we never feel afraid, make mistakes, or fall short on our first try. Bravery means returning, learning, and taking another step, even when our confidence feels small. Remy discovered that failure is not the opposite of a success. It is often part of the path towards it. When we speak kindly to ourselves, accept help from others, and keep trying with patience and courage, we grow stronger than we were before, and our own journey can inspire someone else to believe they can try again. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that was pretty awesome. But there is a great example of failure does not mean completing. It means try again until you complete it. So, folks, never give up on yourself. Always be willing to try again. And if you like that story, tell your friends. Come and listen to Santa Papa John read more stories. And if mom and dad are listening, I can do a private story for your family. So this is Santa Papa John wishing you a wonderful evening. Thank you for showing up. And Kobe, thanks for showing up, buddy. I appreciate you. What'd you think of that one? That was pretty good. Go ahead, Zach. There we go. So, folks, if you enjoyed the stories, hit that like button and follow santapapajohn.com or on any of the social media. Tell your friends you had fun and you enjoyed it. And come back next Wednesday so I can read some more stories. Have a great evening. Good night. Thank you, Mr. Zach.
Warning, the brown cloud is approaching. Some will try to outrun it. Others may not be so lucky. But don't worry, it's all part of the fun at the Chili Cook-Off for books and board games. Where the chili is hot, the flavors are bold. And Bear E has your back with the official Brown Cloud Preparedness Kit. Follow the plan, know your exits, and whatever you do, hold your breath, because this temporary pain is all for a great cause. Join us, laugh with us, survive the brown cloud, together at Key Largo Lounge in Greeley.
Join us November 8th at 11 a.m. for the 10th annual Chili Cook-Off for books and board games at our home field, Key Largo Lounge.
Warning, the brown cloud is approaching. Some will try to outrun it. Others may not be so lucky. But don't worry, it's all part of the fun at the Chili Cook-Off for books and board games. Where the chili is hot, the flavors are bold. And Bear E has your back with the official Brown Cloud Preparedness Kit. Follow the plan, know your exits, and whatever you do, hold your breath, because this temporary pain is all for a great cause. Join us, laugh with us, survive the brown cloud, together at Key Largo Lounge in Greeley.
Join us November 8th at 11 a.m. for the 10th annual Chili Cook-Off for books and board games at our home field, Key Largo Lounge, where our small market team is making a huge statement. Scan the code for tickets and sponsorship information.
Every day, someone in our community is facing a challenge they shouldn't have to face alone. Your business can change that. When you join the Community Pay It Forward family, your kindness becomes action, and your sales becomes hope. For as little as $20 a month, you help guide families, nonprofits, and neighbors from crisis to stability. One small step, one powerful mission, one community coming together. Join the family today. Visit the website or scan the code and become a business where people can shop with purpose and support with heart.